Hi, I'm Rebecca Carner. Today's tuning is about tuning away from self-consciousness. Now, the irony of all this is that I did a complete tuning of the energy, tuning away from self-consciousness, and the sound didn't work out. I guess my mic wasn't fully plugged into the housing. And rather than trying to recreate that energy or sort of open it up and do a whole new tuning on the collective body that's in effect going to be identical to the one I just finished filming that didn't work, I decided what I'd like to do is just make a really short video. Trust that all the frequencies were tuned, and if you're listening to the words of this video, that holds the resonance of the collective field tuning that I just completed. And I wanted to use words to really convey the energies as they presented themselves. So I wanted to tune away from self-consciousness. All the ways that we are self-conscious whenever we go somewhere, whenever we do things with people we know well, with people we see every day sometimes or not. And I was trying to think, well, what's the antidote? Like, rather than putting self-consciousness in the title of the video, what would I put that we're tuning towards rather than to define what we're tuning away from? And the first thing that popped to my mind was, well, the antithesis of self-consciousness is self-confidence. Except when I got into the field, that in fact didn't seem to be the case at all. Self-confidence and the way that we as a Western culture have been taught to sort of portray confidence actually has a lot of self-consciousness baked into the mix. That whole sort of fake it till you make it, or if you really want to get a good job, you know, comport yourself in this way and wear this style clothing and follow X, Y, and Z and follow these manners, and that will make you seem confident. Well, that's a real self-conscious way to get to confidence. And as I started tuning the collective field, the antidote, the sort of antithesis of self-consciousness as it unfurled, was in fact self-trust. And it's not self-confidence, it's just trusting yourself, sort of as in holding your own counsel. And again, what came out in the tuning was both this kind of relief, I can trust myself. To feel less self-conscious, I have to cultivate self-trust. And it was interesting because there was a little bit of pushback in the energy that was really about, if I hold my own counsel and if I trust myself, there was a real fear that then there would be no one, quote, to blame but oneself if something didn't go well. And I thought, how interesting is that? Because on the one hand, playing the blame game and trying to have other people be the reason that you do something isn't a very solid foundation to stand on. But one of the things that it saves us from having to do is be answerable to ourselves. And it also calls into question how harshly we judge ourselves. On the one hand, as a culture, we're absolutely obsessed with how other people judge us. Don't judge. Oh, she was so judgy. He was so judgy. Oh, are they going to judge me as being unworthy for being here? Blah, blah, blah. It's all this external judgment. But what we're really losing sight of is how direly and how stridently and harshly we judge ourselves. So if you cultivate self-trust and keep your own counsel, and you, for instance, counsel yourself to go to a certain party because you think you really want to be there and that it's going to be good for you in any number of ways, and you go to said party and it doesn't go well, there was this real fear in the field that, well, then I'm going to be doubly mad at myself, even more mad at myself for having arrived myself at a party and it didn't go well than I would have been if my best friend would have said, I think you ought to go to the party, and if it didn't go well, I would have blamed her, but maybe not even as harshly as I would blame myself. And this cultivation, first of all, the antidote to self-consciousness being self-trust, honestly was a bit of a surprise to me. And then when I really started tuning towards cultivating self-trust, the barriers were, well, really we're fear of self-recrimination. Like we're going to judge ourselves so harshly, and probably more harshly than we judge another person. So the idea of holding our own counsel is terrifying rather than empowering. And that was really marked to me, and really kind of speaks to how, if a noticing of mine of truly, if people were as kind in a world where people are being so ugly to one another in so many ways, I keep being directed to notice that no matter how poorly we may be treating one another, I keep being directed to notice how truly poorly people treat themselves. And in tuning away from self-consciousness, one of the biggest fears was, I'm going to be too hard on myself and I'm going to get so mad at myself, I'd rather blame someone outside of me than to be left to my own counsel and left answerable to myself. And so I'm going to conclude this really short video with just saying, at the very end, actually I'll get up, at the very end, when I was columning the energy up of self-trust, and when the sort of knot in the collective stomach started to release into self-trust and away from self-consciousness, there was a little uncertainty and unsteadiness, but it was so light and it was so kind of fresh and open feeling. Whereas the energy of self-consciousness had really felt like a tightly gripped fist. And I just want to remind everyone, be kind to yourself. Be kind to yourself. Be forgiving with yourself. Hold things with a light hand. Try experimenting, and if you don't like something, just take it as more information. I don't like that, so I can trust myself not to put myself in that situation again. And I will trust myself to try something new. It doesn't mean you have to get it right or nail it in one, or that if you ever arrive yourself at something that really is not well suited to you, to just abandon all hope in yourself. No. Just say, wow, thanks for being so brave. Thanks for being so courageous to try this. This is not for us. Let's try something different. And that's how you start to cultivate self-trust, which is the antidote to self-consciousness, which we're all just so crippled by. So I think this is the end of my revised tuning, just a few minute video on how to don't know, desolidify, sort of how to blow open this self-conscious behavior pattern that we're all sort of stuck in, and how to cultivate self-trust and self acceptance. And then those things, self-trust and self-acceptance and self-kindness, then breeds an authentic self-confidence, rather than this sort of self-confidence that's actually self-consciousness masking itself in a pretty outfit. Anyway, that's the tuning for today. I hope you enjoyed this different format. Until next time, please visit RebeccaCarner.com if you'd like more information on frequency tuning, or if you'd like to book a session, and please subscribe to my channel. Thank you.